This is a quick introduction to basic peer-reviewed research using our college's online library and online library databases. Begin in any Canvas course and click on the Library Resources link over to the left. Then hit this blue link to take you into the actual library search page. Now this is a basic search, and I'm going to begin with it only because Canvas takes us here first. But really, you should save this basic search as sort of a last resort because it's going to throw so much material at you that you're going to have a hard time combing through it. So we'll look for Ernest Hemingway. He's an author that I often assign in my Composition 2 class, but of course you could search for whatever it is your teacher assigns you to write a paper on. So a basic search gives us 88,000 hits. Now this is a video based on finding peer-reviewed research, so we're going to limit it a little bit by clicking on academic journals over here to the left, and it takes us down to 14,000 articles. It's a little bit better, but given that you usually have maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks to write a paper, this is still a lot of material to dig through. So you want to save this for a last resort if you don't find what you're looking for in the database searches. So now let's move on to the databases. Go up to databases A to Z, and you'll see we have access to hundreds of databases, and a database is just a collection of research that's been vetted for college use. What I'm going to show you in the next few searches should apply to any database search you do. Let's click on Academic OneFile. This is a great place to start. So in here, we'll look for articles on Ernest Hemingway. And a couple of things you should always be mindful of when you're doing your research is limit to full text documents and click the peer-reviewed journals box. And the different databases put these in different places. The rest of the options you have here on the screen, it's up to you to kind of play with as you do your own research project. For now, I'm just getting you started. So we do our basic peer-reviewed search, and we get 942 results. It's a lot better than 14,000. Let me give you another tip that you can apply kind of across database searches. When given the opportunity to view an article as a PDF, always take it, and I'll show you why. So MLA format requires author last name and page number in the in-text citation. And if you view an article as an HTML file online, you don't get the page numbers. But notice when you open it up as a PDF, it looks exactly like it would if you were holding the journal in your hand. That means you get page numbers. If you look here, this article doesn't begin on page 1, it begins on page 1177. If you keep going, 1178, 1179, and so on. So always view your articles in PDF format when given the option. Let's take a look at some other databases real quick. JSTOR is a good one. What I like about JSTOR is everything in here is peer-reviewed, so you don't necessarily have to check a peer-reviewed button, but there is something else you'll want to be mindful of. So we'll do a search again for Ernest Hemingway. This is going to throw back a few hits, 4,600, and we can limit it a little bit because a lot of teachers want peer-reviewed journal articles instead of books, and that takes us down just a little bit. Now here's a tip I can give you when searching the databases, and that would be always make sure and use articles. And what I mean by use articles is if you notice we've got journal article followed by a link to an article title. But every once in a while you're going to come across something that's not an article. You might get a poem, or you might get something like this down here, which is a book review or a book report. Beware of those. When you look at these, you're looking at somebody else's opinions on a primary source, and generally speaking, that's not acceptable for college-level research. So the tip I can give you here, not only do you want to make sure and view it as a PDF, but beware of book reviews and book reports, letters to the editor, poems, and things like that. All right, let's take a look at one more database and another tip, at least one more tip. Let's do Humanities Source. So take a look at the page here, the results. We've got a handful of databases, but notice 1, 2, 3, 4 say EBSCO. Beware. A lot of times teachers will ask that you include the database name in your Works Cited entry. And EBSCO is not a database. EBSCO owns a bunch of databases. In fact, EBSCO owns 4 databases on this page. So we're going to go to Humanities Source. And when you look in an EBSCO-owned database, you'll see the EBSCO name is over here. Beware of that. EBSCO is actually searching the database called Humanities Source. So make sure you get the right database when you're building those Works Cited entries. So we'll put Ernest Hemingway in here again, and it's up to you to learn how to play with all the different things on the page. But for now, we're doing basic peer-reviewed research. We want our full text, and we want peer review, and we'll do a search in here and see what we get. Here we go. So we have 949 hits, still a lot to dig through, but the same rules apply. You have the option to view some of these articles as PDFs. Definitely choose that option when available. Beware of book reports, and remember, this is not EBSCO. Always look and see what database you're actually looking in and include the correct database name in your works cited entry. I hope this video helps. If you have any questions, shoot me an email and I'll be glad to help.